Hello, and welcome to Part 3 of Student Involvement's Fiscal Management Training. Now we will go over some additional information that didn't fit into either the funding or spending sections of this presentation, but which are still very important. If your RSO plans to bring a non-Mason individual or company onto campus to provide a service, such as a DJ, workshop facilitator, or performer, then you'll need to complete a Student Services Entertainment and Event Agreement, also referred to as a contract. The contract serves several purposes, the most important of which is to establish the purpose of the service to be provided, the dates of the service, and the vendor's obligations and responsibilities, including the amount of liability insurance that they must carry. A contract protects the interests of both the university and your RSO. Since this multi-page document must be reviewed and approved by several university life staff members, it is essential that you submit it as early as possible. As soon as your RSO suspects that it might need to complete a contract, you should contact the RSO lead team at rso@gmu.edu to set up an appointment. Please note that all contracts must be completed. This means submitted, reviewed, and approved at least 20 days prior to the event. Otherwise, your RSO risks having its event canceled. When it comes to catering, your RSO has two options. You may use the on-campus Mason catering office operated by Sodexo, or if you choose, your RSO may use an off-campus caterer. The on-campus caterer Sodexo offers two catering options: regular catering and shoestring catering. Regular catering orders may be placed through their website and will be set up before and removed after your event by the catering office staff. If your RSO would like to save money, however, it can choose to place a shoestring catering order. A shoestring catering order must be picked up from the catering office by your RSO, who is then responsible for setting up the food at your event and returning any equipment to the catering office afterwards. All shoestring catering orders must be submitted through student involvement at least 2 weeks prior to the date of your event. They cannot be ordered online. To obtain a copy of the current shoestring catering menu, please email sibudget@gmu.edu. To use an off-campus caterer, you must select one of the vendors on Mason's approved caterers list. The vendors on this list have met certain insurance requirements and health and safety standards. The university has awarded contracts to certain vendors for the purchase of t-shirt screen printing and embroidery, promotional items, and printing. Regardless of the spending method that is used, we are required to order these types of items through a university-approved vendor. In other words, purchase orders or reimbursement requests for these types of expenses will be denied if they are not ordered or purchased from one of the university's approved vendors. The list of approved vendors can be found on our online RSO self-service center. All items which have the Mason trademark on them must be purchased from a university-approved logo vendor. A complete list of approved vendors can be found at trademarks.gmu.edu. Please note that if your RSO plans to sell t-shirts or promotional items with a Mason trademark, the vendor will add an additional 20% royalty fee to the cost of your order. If, however, your RSO is simply providing these items to its members, then please let the vendor know so that you are not charged this additional fee. If your RSO plans to use any of its funding, on-campus SGR or SFB, to pay for travel, please review the online travel procedures presentation. Although this presentation is no longer a training requirement, it is highly recommended that all RSO members who plan to travel and seek reimbursement afterwards for their travel expenses from their RSO account review this presentation at least 2 weeks prior to their departure date. Failing to adhere to any of the university's travel policies or procedures may prevent a traveler from being reimbursed. Please note that Mason requires all financial records to be kept for at least 3 fiscal years. This means that records should be passed from outgoing officers to incoming officers. All of the information covered in this presentation, as well as any additional instructions, can be found at the online RSO Self-Service Center. In addition to the online RSO Self-Service Center, the Student Funding Board can be reached at sfb@gmu.edu and Student Involvement Budget at sibudget@gmu.edu. This concludes Part 3 of the Fiscal Management Training. Please remember to take the post test in order to receive credit for this training.